Hey guys, welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS Episode 1. All I can say is, I hope you guys are ready to enter the Matrix, motherfucker. Holy shit, I didn't think that would work. Whoa. Okay, there's the obligatory Matrix joke for the episode. This was an experience. This was an experience for me. I liked it. If you just want my bare bones first impressions of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, I did enjoy it. I'm probably a little bit more confused than when I started, but I did enjoy what they were going for here. This is the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Season that I have really gotten into, like, the very first episode, the day of its release. I didn't get into Zexal at all. Arc V I watched a little bit of, but not like from day one, and even 5Ds. Probably this is the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode I've seen like the day of its release, probably since Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. So that's to give you an idea there. So to properly give you my impressions of this, I have to say one thing that needs to exist in this world for it to make sense, and it's only episode 1, so of course it's not all going to be explained. But that is world building. I am such a big fan of world building. I love it when I can really get invested in not just the characters, but also the universe that they live in and explaining how it works and all the different aspects of it. This world in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS certainly gives a lot to the imagination. This world that's primarily focused in artificial intelligence and virtual reality, and this other place, this other space that you can enter, like the digital world. Really interesting concepts. After the first episode, I am really fucking confused of how this all works, so that'll be up to the rest of this season to explain how it does operate and get all the little kinks out of there, like all the little questions I have about how exactly this works. But upon watching just the first scene, I can see if you're like me and you haven't really been into Yu-Gi-Oh! For the past few seasons, where the plots I know have gotten a little bit out there, you could be very confused watching the first scene of this. I had to watch the first scene probably like 3 or 4 times to really get a handle on the situation. So the first scene takes place in this digital world, I guess we'll call it. It's referred to as VRAINS, but there's apparently like different parts of this digital world. It's not all collectively referred to as just like the digital world or VRAINS. There's like different parts of it. And this one particular space is known as the Cyberse. And the Cyberse, cyber universe, they're really good for portmanteaus in this series. That's what VRAINS is. It's a portmanteau of combining the different abbreviations of virtual reality, VR, artificial intelligence, AI, and then network system, NS. So that's where you get VRAINS. And there's this place called the Cyberse, which is like the goal of all the characters. Everyone's trying to get, it's like, I guess, the holy land of the digital world. That's the place you want to go to. There's apparently a bunch of evil fucks called the Knights of Hanoi, which were messing with all these AI that lived in this realm, in this digital world. There's a bunch of these different AI that are, of course, way more advanced than just regular AI. They take on anthropomorphic forms. They look like aliens. They're capable of feeling emotions and all that shit. And all these AI are, like, trapped and locked up, save for one plucky little purple AI named Ignis, who takes it upon himself to disconnect the Cyberse from the rest of the digital world, I guess, and store it inside of his own physical being. But it's not a physical being because he's an AI in a digital world, except he is kind of physical because immediately after storing I don't know if he's storing the Cyberse himself or just like a key or a map to the Cyberse inside of his eye. Immediately after that, a giant dragon comes out of fucking nowhere, eats him, and then only remaining is his eye, and then his eye escapes into the real physical world, Den City. That's the name of the city where the main, characters live and everything, in Den City. So you see this eye that's supposed to be an artificial intelligence in a digital scape that is existing in our physical world. So, care to explain how that works? Then again, it could just be like a physical representation of this AI in this world, not actually there, just showing us that it is there. That's another possibility. Okay, so that's just the first scene of the episode. So that's introducing a bunch of interesting concept there. So the general premise, though, is these Knights of Hanoi people are trying to find the location of the Cyberse. In order to get to the Cyberse, or the location to the Cyberse, they need to capture Ignis, who is this AI that has the key to getting to the cybers, or possibly has the cybers stored inside of him himself. Okay, so that is the general setup there. Cybers, place that everyone needs to get to, probably the place that all the duels are gonna, take, in order to get there. Okay, that's where the premise is. Okay, so the main character, Yusaku Fujiki, I was a little bit weirded out by this at first, because from the initial press that we got from this series, it was Yusaku was a guy that didn't know how to duel all that much. He was a guy that was very brilliant in school, doesn't really stand out too much, and, he gets into dueling, and then he meets people, and that's where, that's the premise of the story. Yusaku is already very well versed in dueling. We get that from the first episode, so I'm a little bit confused on where that was. Maybe the press release was trying to, throw us a curveball or something. I'll admit, I was kind of dubious into how that would work, your main character in Yu-Gi-Oh! Not knowing how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you would have to, alright, so the first 3 episodes this is how a synchro monster works, that would be confusing, but yeah, okay, so Yusaku is capable of dueling. It's just that he's very socially removed from everybody, mostly because of his personality. He's a very forward, very straight thinker kind of guy, doesn't really care much about emotions. In the first time we see him, he is in class just kind of sleeping. One of his classmates starts talking to him, and his name is Shima, and he's way into dueling. He's got the brand, he's the kid in class that, I think we all know, that kind of kid that would show off all the new shit he's got. Check this out. I got this new duel disc. Check it out, man. I got the new iPhone 7 Plus Extra, that kind of kid. So he's just bragging about all these cool gadgets he's got, and he brings up that Yusaku has an old school duel disc that still requires cards. Wow, you need cards? That's like a baby's toy, right? Because in the future, everybody has cards that are just automatically downloaded using this new duel disc. So it's like the virtual world in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. You don't actually have to have physical cards. He also brings up that there's an AI inside of the duel disc that actually helps you duel. And I'm just isn't that cheating? I mean, I guess it's not cheating if everybody has it, but isn't that kind of weird to have an AI? And the AI is intelligent. Yusaku even says the word idiot. And he's baka, whatever. And the freaking AI, I guess, is the word idiot is prohibited. So it's oh great, it's got a parental filter too. That's great. So yeah, interesting about that. But the way Yusaku rebuts this, because he's there bragging on about this, saying oh, Yusaku, you must not duel very much, ha ha ha, and check out this new duel disc, is so cool, great. And Yusaku's immediate rebuttal to this is these are the 3 reasons why you're probably not a great duelist, and he just lays it out. Number 1, you're bragging on and on about your fancy new gadget, you're not actually talking about the game, and you're judging me for not being good at the game as just on appearance. You do know this is a card game, right? You do know physical appearance has nothing to do with your ability to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, unless you have, no hands, then that might affect you, that might affect you physically. But aside from that, it shouldn't even affect your way you play the game. And that's interesting, because I was thinking that, too. When Shima was going on and bragging about all this shit, he's oh, check out my shiny new device. I was that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you're good at the card game. You got better equipment. Who gives a shit? And then Yusaku immediately rebuts it, so I'm I like this kid. I already like this guy. I like his design. I like his hair, even though it's not as crazy as the other ones. I know, when you got to, freaking, the guy from, I want to say, no, it's not Yuya. I always forget his name. Yuma, that's it. Yuma from Zexo. He's got the freaking anchor cowlick thing. That was the most ridiculous to me. But Yusaku's is alright. And of course, the tie. There's not a lot of main characters in anime that wear ties. There needs to be more of that. So, I'm definitely going to cosplay as this guy at some point. Alright, so, the general idea here, a lot of this episode felt like we were in an RPG. How you're going through a town in an RPG and you're talking to people, and it's did you hear the bandits are coming back? And there's a scene where Yusaku's hanging out with his friend Kusanagi, who runs a hot dog stand, which is going to be that's going to be his character, is he has a hot dog stand. Alright. But anyway, he's sitting there talking to him, and out of nowhere, Kusanagi's hey, have you heard of the data storms? They appeared in this digital universe years ago, but nobody's seen them in a while. You used to hear they used to be able to do a thing called speed duels on them of legend. So here's the thing. Here's my main point to bring up, and I took away from this. This digital world, this space they call VRAINS. This is not a digital world people program and then they can affect it in Sword Art Online or something like that. No, no, no. They're talking about this place like it's a parallel universe that has its own laws, its own set of physics, and its own phenomena, and you can't affect that at all. You can't do anything to just change. Because the way he's speaking about it, it's just like people going into it. It's like this big event and everything. And so yeah, that's what I'm getting across here. It's this other universe that just happens to be able to be accessed by people in the real world rather than being a space that can just be like, oh, I'm going to change a line of code and I'm just going to change a bunch of shit in there. Maybe that is the case. I'm just talking about the way they're talking about it. It's just strange, you know? Like, there's this data storm thing that existed years ago and no one's heard about it. It's just legendary. Ooh. Be like, well, if this really is a digital realm that's created, couldn't you just go look it up? Yusaku is a hacker, though, before he's a duelist. So probably get ready for a lot of scenes. It took up a part of this episode, but probably get ready for a lot of hack-or computer shit, like, I gotta break into the firewall, Kusanagi, sorry, I gotta access the DSL router filter and break through the network barriers and shit like that. Get ready for a lot of that crap, because that's probably gonna be the way we're gonna go. I mean, it looks cool. Kusanagi's hot dog cart doubles as a fucking, like, computer hacker station. Yeah, it's like, I was like, just push the mustard out of the way. Alright, let's hack into the Pentagon. Okay, so this is where it gets weird. Alright, okay? So you have two main groups, aside from Yusaku. You have, the like I said, the Knights of Hanoi, which are trying to get their hands on Ignis, but there's another group called Soul Technologies, which apparently are the ones that developed VRAINS and developed these new dual discs and shit like that, and they're also looking for Ignis. And I would bet dollars to donuts these two organizations are connected in some way, but for right now, we have three main groups. We have the main character group that is comprised of Yusaku and Kusanagi. There's also Go Onizuka and Aoi Zaizen that are going to join up later. We see there, like, when they go into the VRAINS network, there's like an avatar they have, of course, we'll get to that in a second, but they're going to join up the main cast. That's the first group. And then we have the Knights of Hanoi, which are led by this guy named Revolver. And then we have the Soul Technologies place that are run by this, you know, Diet Kaiba looking guy. Alright, who communicates with his boss by going into this long-ass hallway that just stretches down into this dark abyss, and then he steps on this platform, summons a chessboard, and then this giant bishop chess piece appears, and that's his boss, who's named Bishop. So I guess there's going to be other parts of the chessboard that are going to be like the shadowy figures behind the Soul Network or something. I don't know why he has to go into this really long, deep, cavernous hallway to talk to these people, but okay, whatever, I'll run with the fantasy. So that's that. And they've tried to, like, search for Ignis for 5 years, trying to find this AI to get the location of the Cybers. Finally, they think to scan the entire city. I don't know why it took them 5 years to do this, but they decide to scan the entire city in order to just locate the AI. Why Ignis cannot just leave the city and go to another location on the planet, considering that he's, you know, electronic and he can go through freaking computer networks, I don't understand. So they're doing this big scan. Yusaku is in the hot dog cart trying to figure out a way to get this AI to escape when they're doing the scan, and then you have the Knights of Hanoi, where they're gonna, you know, launch this big attack in the VRAINS network while they're doing the scan, because for some reason, while they're doing the scan, the security system's all down. I guess it takes too much bandwidth or something. I don't know. So anyway, they do the scan. Ignis manages to get, you know, the down the path Yusaku was hacking him with, you know, with his hack-or skills, and manages to download him directly into Yusaku's dual disk. So Yusaku, this is our Astral / fucking Ubel for the season. This is an AI eyeball hanging out inside of Yusaku's dual disk. You know what? That's the least weird out of all of them. I'm cool with that. Ancient Egyptian pharaoh, you know, this ghost demon thing that lives inside Jaden's head, whatever the fuck Astral was. I don't even know anything about his backstory. This one's probably the thing that makes the most sense. An AI that has emotions, that's living inside of your dueling apparatus. Fine, whatever. And then the Knights of Hanoi launch an attack with giant dragons, because it's Yu-Gi-Oh! You gotta have giant dragons, inside of the VRAINS network. Here's another issue. So this dragon starts going around just nuking all the players. It's kind of like Sword Art Online, where you can, you know, you're in the real world, and then you go into the VRAINS network, and then you duel, and you have all these wacky adventures. Except we don't know if it's like you're actually being digitized into the network, like your physical body is being broken apart, or if it's like Sword Art Online, where you just put on a headgear. I would assume it's the former because this dragon is going around in the VRAINS network nuking all these players, and everyone's acting like, holy shit, this is a big deal. So I would assume these are real people that are being killed, that are being sucked into this network. And then Yusaku goes in once again. This is a very multi-featured hot dog cart. He goes into a special chamber in the hot dog cart that manages to bring him into the VRAINS network, that I guess, sends him into this realm. All right, so it's like, okay, you move the mustard out of the way, you get the hacking system. You move the freaking relish out of the way, freaking molecularizer that'll digitize you into the fucking digi realm, okay? Whatever. Also, upon going into the digi realm, because this is Yu-Gi-Oh!, you get an awesome battle suit and an upgrade to your hair gets changed colors and everything like that. You get turned into an avatar, basically. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's just, Yusaku's sitting in this pod passed out, like, I think he was actually sucked into this realm. Okay, so Yusaku he has an alter ego called Playmaker. And he's apparently this well-known duelist around the city, and it's like, that's his Clark Kent is basically Yusaku. So that's what I mean why he's not this new person to the game. He's this well-known duelist all around the city as Playmaker. So he goes into the VRAINS. That's what they shout when they go into it, all right? Which, by the way, VRAINS, I originally thought it sounded like trains, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Trains, like on the way that Yugi and Weevil dueled on that train in the fucking Orichalcos arc. But in this episode, the way they're saying it, it sounds more like brains to me now, like into the brains, so it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! Zombies or something. Whatever. So Yusaku goes into the VRAINS network, becomes Playmaker, saves Aoi. The Blue Angel is her avatar. She's another, like, they're called charisma duelists, which are like really famous dueling actors or athletes, whatever you want to call them, celebrities in the VRAINS network or whatever. So he saves her, and then that's where the episode ends. And we don't really get a duel. We get Yusaku, facing off against the guy with the dragon, killing everybody. And then the next episode we'll get the actual duel with the AI inside of his duel disk and everything. So we'll see how that mechanic works, as well as with link summoning, which is the new aspect being introduced here. I looked up into how that works, and it makes sense. It's fine. It's just I'm okay with it. You don't have to have a new concept into the game every time we have a new season. You do understand that, right? It's fine to keep it the way it is for a little while. I'm not even against adding a new feature, but it doesn't have to be every single season. But okay, fine with me. I was just getting used to pendulum summoning, but okay, fine. But yeah, that's where the episode ends. So next episode, we're probably going to get more into dueling. I like the concept. I just said it's a little confusing, and I hope they explain this a little bit. Like, what exactly is the VRAINS? Who built it? Can they change stuff inside of it? Are people going actually into this realm? Is it a phenomenon? Oh, yeah. And of course, when Yusaku goes in, the data storm kicks up. He's like, oh, that's the data storm of legend. And they go on a speed duel, because if going into a digital world and getting crazy hair and a fucking battle suit and monsters and AI living in your duel disk, if that wasn't hip and trendy enough, you also have streams of data inside of the digital realm that you ride hoverboards on. I don't give a fuck. That's awesome, right? Okay, so, yeah, like Digital World. Like, look, I've grown up with this kind of stuff, so actually, I got a little bit of nostalgia watching this episode, really. It really threw me back to when I was a little kid watching, like, Digimon the first time, or Reboot. Remember that? Weird CGI cartoon, or even Chaotic on freaking WB. Holy shit, this is Chaotic! Oh my god, that's crazy. Okay, does anyone even get that reference? Okay, Chaotic was a cartoon on the Kids WB, I think, back in like the early 2000s, like 2004 or something. The animation wasn't that amazing, but this was the basic premise of Chaotic. It was like, there's this different world you go into, and in that world you can actually turn into the monsters, but it's like you battle other people, and it's like this separate realm that like only some people can go into and duel and fight and shit, and there was like a collectible card game around it. Didn't really go anywhere, but I remember watching it when I was a little kid and really getting into the concept of going into this other realm to play a card game, and that's what this is! Oh my god! They're VRAINS. They're taking from Chaotic. That's a weird reference. Okay, I'll go with it though. Whatever. But yeah, okay. This was that was it. I enjoyed it. I just hope they go and explain the world building a little bit and a little bit more about the characters. Yusaku's, he's not like an emo or anything, so that's a plus. But he's also not super peppy and happy like Yuya or Yuma were. He's a little bit more grounded. Reminds me a lot of Yusei in that regard, because we've gotten a lot of that happy, peppy character, and that's fine. That's good. We've had that a lot, though. We've had that with Jaden. We've had that with Yuma. We've had that with Yuya. So somebody clever, more closely resorted to Yusei, and Yusei is regarded, like 5Ds is regarded by many to be one of the most, like the most best Yu-Gi-Oh seasons, right up there with the originals. So I'm not problem with that. Yusaku's backstory apparently has something to do with Kusanagi. Kusanagi had a brother who was taken away from them, and then there was somebody in Yusaku's past that was affected by that. So that'll of course be elaborated on later. But from the first episode, a little bit confusing, but there's a lot of different concepts in this world to get used to. They're trying out something different here. Even I know like AI and virtual reality has already been prevalent in Yu-Gi-Oh. That's already been something that's been done before, but that's the center stage of this entire season now. Is a more video game device kind of theme of the story, which I'm fine with. So yeah, I hope to keep following this story and not get too lazy with the episode reviews. Let me know what you think below. I'm gonna get going. Later, guys. Signing out.